What does Jin really mean? Sarcasm? Reprimand? Or is it a hidden promotion strategy? When one American's name was suddenly mentioned in front of thousands of ARMY, the atmosphere of the fan meeting turned tense. Why did the genie, amid laughter and hugs, mention Jimmy Fallon instead? And why do so many feel alienated? The supposedly loving fan meeting leaves a big question. Is it an open call or a hidden message from the worldwide handsome? No one expected, no one was ready. A fan meeting that was supposed to be a symbol of freedom and love after a long period of conscription instead turned into a field of question marks when one unexpected name was thrown from Jin's lips: Jimmy Fallon. In the midst of his warm smile, amid the wave of hugs from the thousands of ARMY who waited for him for 2 years, Jin slipped one sentence that made the fandom world stop breathing for a moment. "Jimmy, you have to see this," he said with a big smile, his voice echoing through the New York fan meeting hall that had just been roared on by cheers. But after that, quiet. Only the sudden heartbeat of the audience felt that something was wrong. Or, at least, unusual. The question is why? Why should the genie mention the name of Jimmy Fallon, an American late-night host, at a meeting supposedly entirely dedicated to ARMY? Was it just a spontaneous joke? Or is it a joke wrapped in laughter? Even further, is this a subtle form of promotion for something bigger, something we don't know yet? Not to be overlooked, this moment comes just months after Jin officially completed his military duty in June 2024, becoming the first BTS member to return to the entertainment world in full force. His comeback was celebrated with great fanfare, not only by Korean media but also globally, with a fan meeting titled Jin's Greetings in Seoul. The fan meeting created its own history, a hug session with 1,000 fans, a gesture that shook the boundaries between idols and fans, and a live streaming session full of tears and laughter and message from Jin, June 13th, 2024. But what happened in New York was different. Jin's appearance is inconspicuous: a denim jacket, a white t-shirt, casual pants, a street-style look that signals the freedom he has just regurgitated. But from behind that calmness, the words coming out of it actually created a huge ripple. There is something that a denim jacket or a friendly smile cannot muffle. "Jimmy, you have to see this." Those words rang in the fans' heads even after the show was over. What does that mean? Did Jimmy Fallon ever promise Jin something before his military service and not keep it? Or is it a failed project? Or is it, this is part of a secret campaign for BTS's yet-to-be-announced big comeback? Is it a coincidence that Jin mentioned Fallon in the same city as the headquarters of NBC, the network where The Tonight Show is broadcast? Was there a meeting unknown to the media, a dialogue not captured on camera, between Jin and Fallon's side? Or is this just an expression of admiration for the genie mistaken for sarcasm? To be sure, this isn't the first time Fallon's name has appeared in BTS's narrative. BTS has appeared on The Tonight Show, even undergoing a special edition of BTS Week, which invited praise and criticism. Many fans feel that although Fallon welcomes BTS with open arms, there is always a distance, there is always an inexplicable limit. Some even refer to it as a surface interview. Warm but empty, familiar but hollow. Did Jin remember that? Does Jin have feelings? These questions did not receive a direct answer from the genie. But her reaction after mentioning Fallon only strengthened the speculation. He chuckled, turned to the backstage staff, and continued his show as usual. But the ARMY knows there is nothing ordinary in the life of a genie. No word comes out aimlessly. And then, something even more electrifying happened. Several fans sitting in the front row admitted that they saw Jin touching the chest of his jacket, as if activating a hidden microphone. Is that part of the scenario? Is he recording a message for someone? Or is it just an involuntary nervous movement? Nobody knows. But doesn't everything that is not explained actually leave room for the wildest conjectures? We return to the roots of emotions. What exactly did the genie feel in that moment? After 2 years of disappearing from the stage and the spotlight, returning is not an easy thing. Jin not only faces fan expectations, but also industry expectations, public expectations, corporate expectations, and maybe expectations from his old friends outside of Korea. What did he experience during his service? Is he keeping something? Are all those smiles a form of courage to cover wounds that have not healed? The army who watched live at the fan meeting started talking about something unusual. They claimed to see Jin's eyes turn slightly red after mentioning Fallon's name. Is that a restrained cry? Or are emotions deliberately stored for a specific moment? And why after that the genie seemed more silent, more careful in choosing words? One thing is certain. The moment was not accidental. Pop culture analysts began to compose their own narratives. Some refer to this as the genie's signature Easter egg, a small clue to something bigger. Maybe a collaboration project with Fallon? Or even a special appearance that will be aired during BTS's comeback later. Or, and this most makes the heartbeat faster, is this a signal that the genie is composing something personal? A story? A documentary? A reprisal? If that is true, then we are witnessing the birth of a new chapter in Jin's career. No longer just as BTS's oldest member, but as an individual who chooses to speak through symbols, convey messages through names, and thrill the world with one simple sentence. Jimmy, you gotta see this. The phrase is now written on various fan pages, used as a meme, interpreted as poetry, and even printed on t-shirts. But not all laugh. There is an army who feels that sentence is a form of Jin's disappointment that has not been revealed for the past 2 years. Some see it as a sign that Jin longs for recognition that is more than just the words, "Welcome back." And there are still those who believe that everything was planned. Jin is known to be a man of surprises. When everyone thought that he would choose the safest and quiet route, he opened the way enigmatically. The words he chose were never in vain. Every smile he shows has a meaning. Every silence he maintains is a language to be translated S.O. The question remains open. Is this just a moment of Jin's whim? Or is it the beginning of something bigger, deeper, and more emotional than we imagine? And one question that no one could answer, except Jin himself. What do you really want to say, Jin? But this guessing is not just an empty game for the army. Each piece of the word from the genie feels like a piece of a puzzle that must be assembled carefully. In BTS's world of layers of meaning, not a single phrase is completely accidental. So when the genie says Jimmy, it's not just a name. That's the key. And maybe alarm. A signal that something is coming. Something that can make us laugh. Or crying. Looking back, BTS's relationship with Jimmy Fallon is indeed full of stories. Not a few soldiers remember when in 2020, BTS appeared on The Tonight Show in a special segment dedicated only to them. Fallon welcomed them warmly, even playing games, interviewing casually, and singing songs together. But not a few also feel that there are boundaries that cannot be reached, that although they seem close, there is a gap between them. S.O. When Jin now mentions Fallon in person in the middle of an emotional fan meeting, which not even the big mainstream media attended, it's like a time bomb has just exploded. The reaction came not only from local American fans, but also from Army International, which immediately sparked in-depth discussions on platforms such as Weverse, Twitter, and closed forums of the fan community. Did Jimmy Fallon disappoint Jin? Wrote an army from Brazil. This is definitely a comeback hint. Remember how the genie coded it before the astronaut song? Wrote the Army of Japan. If this is satire, then this is the most elegant satire ever. Commented a fan from France. But behind all the theories and speculations, there is one thing that binds all the army in one conclusion. Jin is conveying something unfinished. We don't just see Jin as an entertainer in this moment. We see a man who has just returned from a time of silence, a time of discipline, a time of waiting. He comes back to a very different world from when he left it. A world where BTS can no longer be together on one stage. A world where the army must learn to love them one by one, not as seven, and perhaps that's where Jin's emotional sense peaked. It stands alone. It speaks for itself. He makes us hear the voice of his heart in his own way, with humor, with laughter, with one sentence that shakes the world. Jimmy, you have to see this. A few days after the fan meeting, Korean media began to highlight the moment. However, instead of explaining, HYBE was silent. No official release, no clarification. Even Jin himself, in his latest Weverse post, only uploads blur photos with captions. Sometimes I joke, sometimes I warn. Sometimes I don't even know which one it is. This sentence actually adds fire to the coals. Does that mean the genie is indeed sending a hidden message? Or is he playing us all in a very subtle and genius promotional strategy? But is a genie the typical celebrity who plays with the feelings of her fans? Or is this his highest form of honesty, conveying something through mystery because direct words hurt too much? One moment captured by fans became crucial in solving this puzzle. When one of the soldiers from Korea shouted, "We are always with you, Jin," he stopped his steps, turned high. 3 days after the shocking fan meeting, the atmosphere of the global ARMY community was still not calm. If usually hot topics on Twitter are just about outfits, songs, or funny interactions of the members, this time everything changes. A sentence from the Jin has become the center of the universe. "Jimmy, you have to see this." Not only fans, even Korean entertainment analysts began to speculate. YouTube channels that specialize in analyzing the meaning behind celebrity behavior, such as Dorong Dorong K-Culture, suggest that this could be a clue to an upcoming project, perhaps a special variety show that will air in the US, or even a mini-documentary that takes a look at Jin's relationship with Western media post-enlistment. More than that, however, comes darker speculation. Jin couldn't have mentioned a big name like Jimmy Fallon without a purpose. Celebrity communications expert Han Sung-min said in an interview with the Behind the Light podcast. If not a satirical form, then this is a kind of distress signal. What does that mean? A distress signal for whom? Those words became an echo in the heads of thousands of fans. Does Jin imply a hidden conflict? Is he talking about how the Western media, while seemingly supportive, actually only treats K-pop artists as a marketable trend? Or, more pointedly, is this the kind of wound that Jin felt during his difficult times that was ignored by those who used to be with him at the peak of glory? We know that during military service, Jin lived away from cameras, away from the spotlight. Many fans wondered, who really remembers him when he disappeared from the stage? Who is trying to reach out? Who cares? And now, as he returns and mentions a name, Jimmy Fallon, among the throngs of fans who have been patiently waiting for him, is that Jin's way of satirizing those who once welcomed him warmly but have now forgotten? A post from a longtime BTS fan on Reddit relives one key moment. In 2021, in an episode of The Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon briefly referred to Jin as funny guy and the most unpredictable one, but in a slightly dismissive tone, making ARMY, at that time, a little uncomfortable. Some took it as a joke, but not a few felt that it was a form of disregard for Jin's deep side, that he was not just a comedian in the middle of a boy band, but an artist with a broad heart and a delicate soul. Now, the shadow is back to haunt. Is Jin still harboring wounds from those comments? Or rather, he is forgiven and chosen to reply in the quietest way possible, a subtle sarcasm that stings without having to scream. On the other hand, the theory of covert promotion cannot be dismissed. There the ARMY began to unpack the archives, looking for hidden connections. One of them revealed that Fallon had previously mentioned wanting to make a special segment after the BTS members returned from military service. Dan boom. Jin is back. Jin called it. Is this a moment that has been arranged in advance? But if so, why in an emotional fan meeting, amidst hugs and tears? Why should it appear when the mood of fans is so vulnerable? Is that Jin's way of combining two worlds, a smart promotional world and an honest emotional world? In the midst of all this, one video went viral on TikTok. A fan from South Korea filmed the moment after the fan meeting, where Jin seemed to daydream for a moment, staring into the darkening New York sky. In the video, it is heard that he said quietly, almost like a murmur to himself, "Sometimes, only those who don't talk much understand the most." That sentence triggered a silence deeper than 1,000 words. A lot of ARMY felt that Jin was conveying what was in his heart, about how all this time he felt reduced to just being a handsome face, a stage joke, or the weirdest character among the members. Though deep inside, he harbored many feelings, many traumas, and many stories that did not have time to be told. Now, after returning from the silent world during his military service, Jin finally speaks. But he didn't speak with a scream. He spoke in a low tone. He speaks by name. Jimmy.1 name is now a symbol of unanswered questions. Insinuation or invitation? Injury or opportunity? Strike or strategy? The army